Federal lawmakers and educationists are urging the executive arm of government to follow through the Tertiary Education Report recently submitted to the Federal Executive Council. The report is expected to help put an end to the perennial challenges that have bedeviled tertiary education in Nigeria. They insist the report will amount to nothing if the federal government does not address key issues such as mismanagement and corruption that have affected Nigerian universities and other higher institutions. Our correspondent Doris Okenwa takes a look at the challenges and the way forward for higher education in Nigeria.
The constant debate over the ranking of Nigerian universities among other institutions of higher learning around the world has once again drawn attention to the deplorable state of the nation's tertiary institutions. Over 1.5 million candidates sat for the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination this year, the highest number of registered candidates the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, has recorded since inception. No less than 1.4 million candidates registered for the examination in 2011, while 1.3 million registered in 2010. But less than a half of these candidates ever make it into the university. While the quest for higher education in Nigeria intensifies by the year, the standard appears to be on the decline, which questions the quality of graduates being churned out. Poor infrastructure and inadequate funding are usually to blame, but experts highlight some more fundamental issues.
What are the mechanisms put in place to ensure that students that come in are qualified? What are the mechanisms put in place by JAMB to ensure that students that is university admit through that agency, which to me is the client agent, are qualified students? The point I'm trying to make here is that those agencies are not doing their work.
Aside from the problem of funding, there are also other issues, that we need to look at. They range from examination process, the examination process itself, which is highly flawed, to the quality of teaching and teachers themselves, the lecturers.
Mismanagement of funds and bad leadership are believed to also be the major stumbling blocks to the advancement of tertiary education in Nigeria.
There are a lot of, I would call them malpractices that go on in the university system right now. And we need to check that so that when you put all these together, all these factors, as you begin to address these various factors, hopefully we should begin to do something about the quality of education.
It's one thing to say government is not giving enough, but the little they give, what happens to it? This is the question. Governments, they're not giving enough, but even the little they give universities, how judicious are they being expended?
The Federal Executive Council recently approved the Tertiary Education Report aimed at strengthening Nigerian universities. But there are concerns in some quarters as to whether this will end up like other reports that were never implemented. Education took the largest chunk of the 2012 budget at 400 billion naira out of 4.8 trillion. But split 400 billion among various levels of the sector and it becomes a pittance. In August this year, the federal government also, through the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, earmarked a whopping sum of 95 billion naira for intervention in universities, polytechnics and colleges of education in the country. But these measures geared towards improving the system appears to be insufficient.
We always say we don't have funds, we have problem of money, we have this, we have that. But then we know that year in, year out, there are kinds of intervention going into these universities. So it is a system. If you have a system working, you have the school level management, the managers are working, the council is working, everything will be in place. But if you don't have that, and that is how we run into the crisis.
Internally generated revenue may be the way out of decay for many Nigerian universities, as some have already initiated. Instead of waiting for handouts from government allocations, experts have advised the administrators of tertiary institutions to be more dynamic in generating revenue and attracting aid for their institutions. Doris Okenwa, Channels Television News.